So there's a couple more ways that you can use the Ocularis plugs to band up your Ocularis slingshot beyond what we've shown you in the Ocularis video banding manual. So if you want to experiment with different ways to utilize this attachment system, we're going to show you how. So you can use lots of different bands, as we've mentioned before: flat bands, tubular bands, chained rubber bands. We're going to show you a couple of alternate ways to do that today. So if you enjoy shooting single strand tubular bands, which a lot of folks do, you can still use the same method that you would for looped tubes, except you're going to do it just a touch differently. So instead of attaching the plug on the target side of the slingshot, like we show you in the other video, we're actually going to attach the plug on the shooter side of the slingshot. So this is our, we consider this our band set. This isn't a complete assembly, but this will be the pouch end, and this is our free end. We're going to come through from the target side of the slingshot and make a loop, just like we would with looped tubular bands. The only difference is that we're going to place the plug on the shooter side of the slingshot as opposed to the target side of the slingshot. Same orientation. It's going to run right through the saddles, and the working end is going to go to the outside or to the direction that you want to shoot it. So if you want to shoot it over the top, your long end would come over the top. If you want to shoot it through the forks, your long end would come around the outside of the fork. We'll do the same thing. We'll simply seat it in place once you've located the correct distance, and then the band will come around, and I'm showing you the shooter side of the slingshot here. This tag end could be trimmed, or you could, if you had your bands pre-measured, there wouldn't be a need to bother with the tag end. But of course, from here, you can now use the dial-a-fork method to move your band anywhere along the radius of the fork tip. So there you go, single strand, another way to shoot a single strand band set, even though this isn't a complete band set. You get the idea. Moving on, another way, if you want to shoot looped tubular bands. A lot of folks enjoy shooting the looped tubular bands in truly an over-the-top configuration versus what would be a through the fork, as we've shown you in the other video. This one is quite simple, but it looks a little complex to start with. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to insert the looped tube through the target side of the slingshot. All right, at this point, we're going to take a plug that does not have a bearing in it, and we're going to insert it through the target side of the plug, as shown. And then we're going to loop it around. And this is more or less a cowl hitch or a girth hitch. Just like this. So we can see here that the tubing comes through, then comes back out. All right, then we're going to seat this with the bands, with the tubing in the saddle. Now this band system is able to come over the top. Now to do the other side, simply come through with your loop, and we're going to do the same thing. Through the target side of the plug, girth hitch or cowl hitch, cinch it down, and of course you want to make certain that you've got equal tension on both sides or both strands of the tubing, and then into place. At this point, you've effectively got a tubular or a looped tube band set up to shoot in a truly over-the-top configuration. Now, if you're shooting really light tubes, like we've got here, you may want to put the bearing back in just to give it a little extra security, but by no means is it necessary. Now, this can be done with looped tubular bands up to size 1745. Much thicker than that, it really doesn't fit in the system, and you'd want to revert back to the method that we've shown in the prior video. Finally, we've got chained rubber bands. Now, this is a chain system. You can braid them, you can chain them together. Whichever method you'd like to use, application is going to be the same as far as attaching. So we've got this one just set up here in chains. A lot of people like to braid them, get a little bit better band life. Made this one up very quickly. Same thing as you would with a looped tubular band set. Exact same install. So we've got a loop here. We're going to insert that from the shooter side of the slingshot, just like the looped tubular bands. We'll use the plug with the ball in it on this occasion, and we'll set it up with the rubber bands riding in the saddles. Take your time to make sure everything lines up. You got even tension. There's one side installed, and we'll do the exact same thing for the other side. So insert from the shooter side, have the loop on the target side, put the plug into the loops, let the rubber band ride in the saddle, seated in place. Now you're set up to shoot chains. This is fundamentally in a through the forks configuration, or you could do the same thing that we just did with the loop tubular band to get it in the over the top configuration. Exact same application. So there's a couple more ways that you can use the Ocularis attachment system to shoot different types of rubber and different types of orientations on your dial of fork Ocularis fork tip, whether that be your hammer or any of the other slingshots in our lineup that sport the Ocularis attachment method. Quick, simple, and efficient. Thanks for taking a look, and be sure to subscribe for more videos.